Well, good evening and welcome to Carrara, the Gold Coast Sports Centre, for what is a hugely anticipated matchup in the National Premier League's Queensland between Gold Coast Knights and Peninsula Power, the only two teams in the National Premier League's Queensland yet to drop a point. 3 wins from 3 for both teams sees them sitting in second and third places respectively on the ladder behind Lions, which is a situation that will be familiar to both teams, as that is the situation they found themselves at the end of last season. Gray Piddock's side, Gold Coast Knights, have been impressive so far, beating Olympic by 3-1, Strikers by 2-1, and then last week Redlands United 9-0. And Peninsula Power, they've been just as impressive, beating Magpies Crusaders 8-1 in the first game of the season, 3-1 against Sunshine Coast Wanderers in round 3, and beating Olympic by 1-0 last week. The two teams are being led onto the field by their respective captains. Mitch Nichols in the number 16 shirt for the red-shirted Gold Coast Knights, and it is Trent McAvoy who is wearing the captain's armband for Peninsula Power in the blue shirts, wearing the number 20 shirt. We're only quickly through the teams as they do line up in front of us. Gray Piddock's side has Josh Langdon in goal. In front of him, Jaden Walker, number 6, Roman Hoffman, number 10, Max Brown, number 11, Jaden Prasad, number 13, Jared Carl, number 16, Mitch Nichols, number 17, Nick Panetta, number 18, Matt Schmidt, number 19, Jason McQuaze, and number 26, Emlyn Wellsmore. Peninsula Power, coached by Aaron Phillip, have Jake Reesby in goal. In front of him, number 2, Daniel McHenry, number 4, Dan Kuna, number 5, Chris Janchevsky, number 6, Cam Crestani, number 7, Marek Madley, number 8, Josh Woolley, number 10, Tom Strickland, number 15, Sam Roper, number 20, Trent McAvoy, and number 23, Sam Cronin. Both of these two teams have had strikers scoring goals for fun in the first couple of games of the season. Sam Cronin has 6 from 3, as does Jason McQuaze. Jason McQuaze, of course, making the off-season move from reigning premiers Lions. He's already scored half the number of goals this time around as he managed in the entirety of the 2019 campaign. Has settled in quite comfortably to life here down on the Gold Coast. And why wouldn't you? Gold Coast Knights, reigning champions of the National Premier League's Queensland. And they look to be starting off very impressively this time around as well, although there is certainly a case to be answered that this will be their toughest test of the season so far. Both teams have their round 2 matches washed out. Peninsula Power against Brisbane City and Gold Coast Knights against Gold Coast United. Both of those games could have been pretty interesting as well, and will be tough opponents when those matches are eventually rearranged. Power against City is for Wednesday the 18th, I believe, of March, and I'm hearing that the Gold Coast Derby will take place on Easter Friday potentially, so that'll be a cracking occasion at Coplix, just further south from here in the northern part of the Gold Coast, in the shadow of the light towers of Carrara Stadium, Metricon Stadium, where the Suns play. Looks like we're in position. Marek Madley, the off-season recruit, also from Lions, although wearing the blue of Peninsula Power this afternoon, will get things underway for us once our officiating team is happy. The pieces are in place, and it is Marek Madley in the blue for Peninsula Power kicking things off, and it is the visitors going from right to left as things start, and a bright start right from the off. An early shout for a penalty. It's waved away emphatically by the referee. Dan McHenry is furious and stretches those arms out, the former Brisbane City and Western Pride defender. There's a set play that worked almost to perfection for Aaron Phillips' side, but not according to the referee. That's Marek Madley getting the touch over on the far side. It'll be a Peninsula Power ball. Bright start from the visitors. Of course, fresh off that impressive victory against Olympic last week at Goodwin Park. Olympic down in 9th spot at the moment in the National Premier's Queensland competition, as Mitch Nichols takes the ball up, tries to release the ball through to Jaden Prasad, who had such an impressive season last year before breaking his finger towards the end of the campaign and surrendering his place in the lineup to Nick Panetta, who is starting today as well over in the centre of the park. They have got quality all over the field, Gold Coast Knights. The only question mark perhaps being at centre-back as Roman Hoffman goes back to Josh Langdon, and now the other centre-back, Emlyn Wellsmore, an off-season recruit from the Brisbane Roar, takes possession before he goes back to his keeper. Of course, the Knights lost Matt Smith in the pre-season. Oscar Dillon was signed by Western United in the Hyundai A-League. Both centre-backs from last year. The key replacement, Matt Boyd from Peninsula Power, is injured. So it has been forced upon Roman Hoffman to step into the breach, and he's done remarkably well alongside his young teammate Emlyn Wellsmore. Panetta ran out of space and ball was picked up by Dan Cooner. Straight into the lap, fairly comfortably, of Roman Hoffman there. Panetta wants to switch play, almost finds its way through to Walker, it does eventually. There's a spare ball on the field. Play is being allowed to continue, that ball is being retrieved, I can tell you, as Sam Cronin saw his forward progress, or the way of his forward progress, impeded and decided to go back. And here's another off-season recruit for the Power, Cam Crestani, former captain at Western Pride. He links up there with Josh Woolley. Has 2 goals already this season, Woolley. Plays the ball across field to Janchevsky. One-touch passing here from Peninsula Power. Cooner looking for the outlet ball. It was cut out by Mitch Nichols, who's so impressive. Cooner didn't do well there, and Max Brown, who's really been a star player for Gold Coast Knights for the last couple of seasons, including this one. Manages to win the ball back, and it'll be the Gold Coast Knights who press forward now, switching play back to Wellsmore. Wellsmore's closed down quickly by Madley. It was a good ball forward to Jason Makwaze, former teammate of Marek Madley at Lions, of course. Both changing the orange for the blue and red, respectively. Nichols. Prasad into Panetta. Space for Panetta. Goes back to Prasad. Prasad has support in the form of Matt Schmidt. Schmidt has drifted offside and is ineffective, so Panetta has to go all the way back to Mitch Nichols. Nichols cuts the ball back inside. Here's Schmidt now. It's opened up for Schmidt on the edge of the penalty area, but it was well dealt with by Cam Crestani. Still there for Gold Coast Knights, though, building some pressure in these early stages. That pass forward, not the best by Jaden Prasad, and it'll be picked up fairly comfortably by Jake Griesby. Simon Smale with you on this call of the round 5 National Premier League's Queensland clash between the two sides yet to drop a point. 2nd and 3rd place in the ladder behind Lions, who have a point extra after their draw down here on the coast last week against Gold Coast United. Janchevsky, former Sunshine Coast Player of the Year. Strickland. Ball falls favourably for him in the midfield. Plays it off to Roper. Roper wants an option. There isn't too much ahead of him, to be honest. The wind howls across the ground here at Carrara. Janchevsky tried to thread that ball through towards Madley, who seemed in good spirits when I spoke to him pre-game. Janchevsky towards Madley. Dangerous with his back to goal, Madley. Janchevsky almost made a meal out of that, but kept the ball in. Brown links up with Makwaze, and it almost works out very, very emphatically down this right-hand side for Gold Coast Knights, but Brown just couldn't quite get the ball under his control, and it's out for a throw-in underneath us here in our vantage point. High above the stand here at Carrara. Crestani made a habit of picking out those crossfield balls for Western Pride over the 3 seasons or so that he was in green out in Ipswich. He was on the money once again as Peninsula Power looked to build something. A little bit too far ahead of Tom Strickland on that occasion. Gold Coast Knights will have to play out from the back. They're being pegged in a little. Down away to our left, in front of the clubhouse with a healthy smattering of supporters. These two teams played 4 times against each other last year. First time they would have played against each other in competition. Recent years anyway. Peninsula Power won the first encounter, but then it was all Gold Coast Knights, including the semi-final last year here at Carrara. Goals to Max Brown and Jared Kyle making the difference. They led by 2-0 at the half before Trent McAvoy pulled a goal back, but it was too little too late for Peninsula Power, and Knights of course went on to win the grand final against Olympic. Referee is being alerted to something taking place over on that side of the field, and the assistant has spotted something. Is it a member of the power support staff venturing too far out of his technical area? Not privy to the conversation, but we're being allowed to continue, and the power member of the power coaching staff is told to sit down. And Jake Reesby gets things underway. It's going to have to be claimed by Langdon. Wind really picking up down on the Gold Coast. It has only picked up as we've approached the evening. No rain, thankfully. Plenty was threatened this weekend. And the pitch is a little bit soft. You can see it's cutting up a little bit in places. Long throw up towards Sam Cronin, but it was headed by Mitch Nichols, and Nichols rather made a meal out of that, but managed to get the ball under control and rectify his mistake. Just looks up into the sky there and stretches out his neck. Perhaps he strained something in trying to get that ball back under his control. He had to lunge, and lunged fairly effectively, it has to be said, as Schmidt plays the ball crossfield to Wellsmore. Wellsmore wants an option in front of him. Jaden Walker is providing that, as is Makwaze, and it is Makwaze who gets the ball back out to Walker. Walker back inside. So much space for Panetta. He's closed down fairly quickly by Dan Kuna. Nichols goes all the way wide to Matt Schmidt. Schmidt back to Nichols. Nichols put under all sorts of pressure from Cronin, and Cronin has won that first encounter between the two, and he wants support. The run from Madley was a good one. The ball didn't find him. There's Jaden Prasad putting the pressure on Josh Woolley. Power content to play the ball around at the back and try to expose a deficiency in the massed ranks of Gold Coast Knights players in front of them. Crestani. And that was rather overrun by McHenry, and McHenry giving the ball away to the ever-dangerous Jaden Prasad. It has found its way all the way back to Josh Langdon, though, who'll switch play to Walker on the near side of the field. He's half-heartedly closed down by Strickland, although he's allowed to play the ball across the front of his penalty area. Madley giving chase, but it was a fruitless task at best as Schmidt takes the ball up the left-hand side. Cross ball into Makwaze. Power had to be on their game there as Panetta picks up the ball, and Brown is dispossessed by Kuna, who plays the ball confidently back to Jake Reesby, and it'll be up to Crestani to launch that ball forward towards Madley. Madley got a little bit of a shove from Roman Hoffman as he went to claim that ball. Nothing doing, says the referee or his assistant, and we will continue play through Max Brown over on that far side of the field. The ball is given away sloppily over there, and it has been a little bit sloppy and cagey in this opening stages of this round 5 clash. 11 minutes gone. It's still goalless between Gold Coast Knights and Peninsula Power. Neither side has dropped any points yet. Something is going to have to give for one of these teams, although of course both could remain unbeaten as Schmidt links up well with Prasad over on that far side of the field. Schmidt, devilish ball inside. Kyle is there and it's helped back into the hands of Jake Reesby, and Peninsula Power dealt with that early threat fairly comfortably at the back there. In the end, Kyle will be a threat all day. It's a lovely ball back inside to Dan McHenry, and McHenry's going to go around the outside. He's blocked off there by Mitch Nichols. I don't think Mitch Nichols is going to think too kindly about that being given us a free kick. Looked quite shoulder to shoulder to me, but the assistant and the referee both in a much better position than I am to make that call, and it's a free kick that is in a dangerous position for Peninsula Power, and Gold Coast Knights are going to have to do some defending here in the 13th minute of the match. Plenty of proven goal scorers in this Peninsula Power side. All it takes is a good delivery. Every Gold Coast Knights player in their own penalty area, save Jason McQuarza, who's just on the outside. It's pinballing around there. Is it going to fall for McHenry? It is falling for McHenry, and Jake Rees. It was Josh Langdon who got his hands down to it and just got his body behind it, and that's all that it needed to be from the Gold Coast Knights keeper. Of all the players on the side who you want the ball to fall to in the penalty area with as much respect as possible, Dan McHenry probably isn't the one that you'd want there too when you've got the likes of Marek Madley and Josh Woolley and Sam Roper in there. But a free kick in an almost identical position could become fruitful once again for Peninsula Power. Gold Coast Knights having to defend themselves here. Really quite windy up here. Oh, it's sloppy. It's fallen for Madley. It's off the crossbar. It was brilliant from Langdon. He made himself as big as possible. And 99 times out of 100, Marek Madley would be celebrating a goal there. Excellent save from Josh Langdon. And if Gold Coast Knights weren't alert to the fact that they're going to have to be on top of their game defensively before now, they should be at this stage, because that was very dangerous, and that was a very forceful back pass by Max Brown. Langdon, cool, calm, collectedly launches the ball up over halfway. Brown out wide to Nick Panetta. Panetta's going to release Prasad. Prasad has pace to burn, but Dan McHenry's no slouch, and McHenry gets his body in the way, and that's excellent defending from the former Western Pride man, just 22 years old, from Auckland in New Zealand. Spent a number of years at Western Pride, winning the 2017 championship. Prior to that, he was at the QAS and Brisbane City as a junior. Did play 15 games for Brisbane City last year, but has found himself a home up on the peninsula in Redcliffe. All flicked on, unintentionally, you'd have to say, by Schmidt. Excellent work over on that far side of the field. Cross towards the back post, and Strickland. It's just a little bit too far over his head. The wind that is gusting across the field from right to left as you're looking at things now. It's coming into our faces a little bit here as we watch from this side of the field. It's a little bit too heavy, but it was excellent work over on that far side of the field by Woolley. Madley gives chase, the sole striker in the defensive formation for Peninsula Power. He gives up the ghost now as Wellsmore, despite feeling the breath of Madley on his neck, just kept his cool and kept on running. Here's Hoffman. We'll go back to Wellsmore. Walker has been making plenty of runs, Jason Makwaze as well. He picks up the ball now in midfield. He won't want the ball there, he'll want it closer to the edge of the penalty area. As Wellsmore skips past one challenge, keeps the ball in play. Excellent work from the former Raw defender, excellent composure. But then Jaden Walker can't quite help it on its way through towards Max Brown. Nothing doing though from Peninsula Power. They cough the ball up, and Nichols inside to Panetta, and Panetta goes to ground. Play on, says the referee. Dan Kuna in possession. Kuna's ball towards Madley, at least that's the only player who it could have been to, was wayward. And Knights will build from the back once again through Wellsmore. Speaking with a couple of people at the club, they've been very impressed with Emlyn Wellsmore. Still a young man, but has an experienced head on his shoulders and has stepped in well, and they're mighty big boots to fill, those of Matt Smith or indeed Oscar Dillon. Neat ball over the top by Walker. Lovely ball across by Brown, and McHenry had to just hammer that ball away because Prasad was arriving with intent behind him. Lovely cross from Max Brown. He's been a threat in a Gold Coast Knights shirt over the past season and a bit. And he proved it there by getting to that byline, whipping the ball across. Lovely ball inside again, but Prasad, when waiting for that ball, just had it picked off by Crestani. And Madley was offside. The hand goes up from Madley because perhaps should have known just to stay on the shoulder of his last defender in that occasion. Madley gave plenty of chase in the early stages. He's decided discretion is the better part of valour now as these two centre-backs pass the ball between themselves and Josh Langdon. Here's Wellsmore. Now Madley gives some chase, but again, great composure from Emlyn Wellsmore. The press comes on from Peninsula Power. Hoffman lets that ball run, chips it over the top towards Prasad. Prasad tried to use his body, was unable to do so, and then that's excellent work from Janchevsky. Just nipping in there. Sorry, it's not Janchevsky, it's Roper. And Crestani showing equal composure to Wellsmore. Both products of the Brisbane Roar, or have spent time in that system in any case. Janchevsky back to McAvoy up towards Madley, and Madley is brought to ground and brings Emlyn Wellsmore to ground with him. Referee says, well, that's probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other, and will play on. Lovely ball from Nichols to Brown. Brown's going to play the ball through to Makwaze. Makwaze beats Janchevsky to the ball. Makwaze's ball inside. Cam Crestani is in an ideal position though, and he raises his hand saying to Chris Janchevsky, perhaps you should have done better in that situation, and I wouldn't have had to give away a corner, which he has done so. And a good attacking opportunity for Gold Coast Knights. Came out of nothing. Such a good ball by Max Brown through to Jason Makwaze, and Makwaze whips the ball inside. Oh, an opportunity there, and Jaden Prasad just leaning back as he hit that, left-footed. Just always sliding away and never looked to be completely on balance. Would have been a fine goal. He's capable of it. Just unable to put the ball into the right position on that occasion, but nice, well-worked move from Gold Coast Knights. And both teams, as we approach the 20-minute mark here in this first half of the National Premier League Queensland Round 5 clash between Gold Coast Knights and Peninsula Power. Both sides have had glimpses, but unable to make the most of them. Can Josh Woolley change that on this left-hand side? He has a lot of space. He goes up against Walker, slides the ball inside to Roper. Roper has to go back to Janchevsky. Janchevsky leaves the ball alone. Wanted an option. Lovely pass inside by Roper. Roper has time to pick out an option. That option was Janchevsky, and it was not the best in the end. It wasn't Janchevsky at all, it was Josh Woolley. He would have expected to do better there in that situation. Josh Woolley has 2 goals already this season, scored in the first 2 games against Magpies and Wanderers. Managed 10 goals in 29 appearances last campaign. Prasad and Schmidt over on that far side of the field. Prasad once again. It's closed down pretty quickly. Mitch Nichols picks up the campaign though. Oh, it's a devilish cross. Mkwase was arriving at the back post, but it was a bit too close to Jake Reesby, and he'll play the ball out intelligently to Kuna to run onto. Kuna has Woolley in front of him, decides to go back instead to Sam Roper. Now Crestani. Crestani can switch play, and Josh Woolley is all alone on this near side. Instead it's just palmed off to his cap to Sam Cronin. Now Kuna. Kuna and Roper. Space for Janchevsky on this near side. Closed down by Mkwase. Back to Trent McAvoy. Janchevsky. It's time for Peninsula Power to enjoy a spell of possession in their own half. Not threatening Gold Coast Knights, but just hoping to expose an opening. Crestani picking up the ball over on that right side of the field. Wanted to play the ball across, but instead it comes to the foot of Trent McAvoy and Janchevsky. Janchevsky goes forward to Woolley, but it's picked off by Jaden Walker, and Walker's going to switch play now over to the far side of the field, and Jaden Prasad. Prasad goes back to Schmidt. It's a real chess game going on out there at the moment. Walker back inside to Brown. Brown to Walker. Mitch Nichols has space in the middle, just ghosting around in the centre circle. He's been shadowed now though by Sam Cronin. Janchevsky did really well then. It did get a touch off Jaden Walker. Excellent defending from Janchevsky. I have to say Walker was probably a little bit unlucky though. Now once again we have another ball on the field. There's kids playing on the fields behind us, so that is a hazard of that sort of setup. Oh, Woolley's got the better now of Wellsmore, the first mistake Wellsmore's made, but Woolley has nowhere to go except to deliver a cross, and Wellsmore recovered well, and it will be a corner to Peninsula Power. Good strength by Josh Woolley. It's the referee playing the ball out wide to Woolley to then pluck the corner into the danger zone. Cam Crestani's up there. It's time the tall figure of Sam Cronin is just on the edge of the D. It's not going to come to him because it's going to be picked off by the smallest man on the field, Jason Mkwase. Does battle with Dan Kuna though, and it's going to be another corner. Good work from Kuna, and perhaps this time the corner will be delivered slightly more accurately, although this wind howling into his face, it is difficult for Josh Woolley to deliver the ball with any real accuracy. It's again front post. That time Max Brown gets his head to it. It's fallen kindly for Cronin. Cronin's going to choose to deliver the ball. Wellsmore got his head to it. Now Schmidt, still there for Crestani and Peninsula Power. Roper back into the danger zone. It could fall all the way through, but it's not going to. And now a counter-attack is on. Here comes Nick Panetta. Wide is Jared Kyle. Haven't said his name too many times in his opening stages, but he's on the ball now. Delivers a cross inside. McAvoy gets there. McAvoy versus Jared Kyle. Kyle inside to Mkwase. Mkwase trying to thread the needle through to Jaden Walker. And Peninsula Power will break through Sam Cronin. Cronin is brought to deck by Mitch Nichols. Mitch Nichols unhappy with the decision once again. It's been a couple of fouls given away by the former A-League veteran. He's 30 years old, Mitch Nichols, but has played 226 games in the Hyundai A-League for 5 separate clubs. The wind is really picking up, making things very difficult for us up here. And no less easy for the players at ground level either, although the flags on that side of the field don't appear to be fluttering too much. Madley won the header, but there was no one taking a chance inside of him, and it's going to be picked up by Langdon. Now Schmidt. Panetta. Had to check. Goes back to Prasad. Panetta to Nichols. Nichols lets it run under his foot, perhaps not intentionally. Now it's played into a spot of bother and it sends Roper flying. Wins the ball though, and Makwaze's a little bit too far, and it's going to be a free kick. And Mitch Nichols has fronted up now to Dan Kuna, exchanging pleasantries. Dan Kuna, I think, is being penalised for perhaps throwing an elbow up, but if that's the case, then you'd expect to see a card of some colour given. That's what Mitch Nichols was intimating. Nichols is still arguing, suggesting that the elbow was thrown, but if a referee saw it that way, then you'd expect to have a card being brandished, but that's not been the case. Mitch Nichols is being placated by it being a free kick and a free kick only. It is a free kick in a dangerous position. He has been told to wait for the referee's whistle. Referee takes his 10 yards back, and it'll be just a two-man wall. Gold Coast Knights massing on the far side of the penalty area, although Jason Makwaze is alone on this near side and has space if Mitch Nichols opts to find him. Instead it's to the massed ranks of players, and it's headed away by Dan Kuna. Oh, excellent work there by Roman Hoffman. Makwaze, oh, it's an awkward one. Jared Kyle goes down. No penalty, and I don't think Jared Kyle was asking for one either, but that was almost an almighty mix-up. Jason Makwaze's shot was scuffed more than anything, and it's almost paid off for Gold Coast Knights. Both teams now having penalty shouts. Peninsula Power in the first seconds of the game. Dan McHenry being dragged down over on that far side of the penalty area. That looked a little bit more penalty-like than that one, it has to be said. And to Jared Kyle's credit, he certainly wasn't complaining, as Makwaze wins the ball in the centre of the field and plays the ball to Panetta. Panetta now releases Max Brown down this near side. Brown looking for an option. Carl is that option. Oh, it almost falls for Carl by way of a foot of Krysianchevsky, who just stuck his foot out and is quite fortunate that Jared Kyle didn't get to it, although Jared Kyle now is limping his way back into position around the penalty spot. Makwaze has possession. Oh, free was Jaden Walker. Walker releases Nichols. Nichols over to Schmidt. Schmidt putting a ball over towards Jared Kyle, who jumped high, but Jake Reesby stuck a palm out and just batted the ball away. It's still there for Gold Coast Knights. Panetta, brilliant from Panetta, and then the side-footed shot from Max Brown, just the wrong side of the target from a Gold Coast Knights perspective. Ball played out, and it wasn't the best. It's going to be an opportunity for Knights once again, approaching the half-hour mark of this match. It's Nichols and Hoffman over on that far side of the field. Hoffman back to Nichols, played under some intensity by Jaden Prasad. Wellsmore will run it to Walker. Walker inside to Brown. Brown with a very heavy touch. Janchevsky should deal with this, and does. It'll be a goal kick. Cagey stuff so far. Real clear-cut chances at a premium. But it is worth saying that Peninsula Power don't draw many games. In fact, they didn't draw a single game last year. The last time they did have to share the points with someone was against Logan Lightning in the Football Queensland Premier League all the way back in 2018. As Sam Cronin bundles his way through. Here's Woolley in the penalty area. Woolley doing battle over on that far side with Walker. Now Cronin again. Cronin gets to the byline, but Walker does well and links up with Makwaze to clear the danger. Here's Brown. Brown, excellent work from Max Brown. He's running out of options though and goes round and round in circles until he can find Jaden Walker. Walker releases the ball up to Jared Carl, who's getting more and more involved in this contest. Nichols has to go to deck, playing the ball wide to Panetta, and here's Schmidt over on the far side of the field. He has Prasad in front of him. Prasad comes inside, is brought to ground by McHenry. It looked soft. Free kick is taken quickly. Schmidt, Makwaze waited for the header. Carl bundled into Sam Roper. And Wellsmore did very, very well there, just shimmying and fooling Marek Madley that he was going to take the ball first time, and instead let the ball do the work and used the space available to him. Good, intelligent play from the centre-back, who... Oh, we'll come back to Vadas. Prasad is played in, and that's a brilliant save by Reesby. Pinpoint pass, absolute slide rule, and Jaden Prasad made a hugely intelligent run. And Reesby was on hand, and he had to be. Excellent stuff from the Peninsula Power keeper. Nichols now. Can't play the ball past Dan Cooner, and then rather bundles into Dan Cooner, and perhaps now they're even. It's not a goal kick, it's a free kick, so Crestani will have to take. He won't mind that. He's got a more than capable right boot. He'll go short though to Dan Cooner. Now Crestani will unleash as Kyle just dummied towards him. Strong header by Marek Madley, but goes the wrong way. McHenry gives away a rather soft free kick with Jaden Prasad not really going anywhere. Let's take it quickly. Here is Prasad. Panetta made the run. Prasad kept the ball. He was wise to. Uses Schmidt, and now Nichols. Nichols might use Panetta, who suddenly has space. Schmidt over on that left-hand side. Good cross. Reesby came and Reesby collected. I do wonder whether he was genuinely going to roll the ball out there. Instead he opts for the long kick with the wind. It definitely was wind assisted. And over in that corner of the field, it's Marek Madley. Marek Madley is going to enjoy battles like this, and he wins a corner for his side up against Emlyn Wellsmore. Wellsmore did brilliantly. That's all he could do. As I was saying about Emlyn Wellsmore, I do understand there are a couple of championship clubs in the UK looking at Emlyn Wellsmore as a bit of a project player. He does have talent. Oodles of it. He's got an excellent opportunity here to really step up in the heart of the Gold Coast Knights defence, which is going to be under pressure from this corner. Woolley will supply the delivery from this near side of the field. It's angled in, and Mitch Nichols at the back post had to head the ball clear. It's still there for Peninsula Power, played back in by Roper and Chevsky. It was aimed towards McHenry at the near post. And now Jared Carl has space, and Makwaze ahead of him. Makwaze up against Cam Crestani. Crestani just ordering his defence to cover inside. Now he leaves the ball, and Jason Makwaze for Josh Woolley. And Woolley is going to square up Jason Makwaze and force him to go all the way back to Wellsmore. It was really well covered by the Peninsula Power defence, because the Knights could have been away there. Makwaze to Nichols. They could still pose problems, of course, in this situation. Jaden Prasad back to Nichols. Just opened up a little bit there for Nichols. Makwaze had to check, did Nichols. Nichols over the top towards Kyle. Kyle collects, shoots in one motion. Reesby fumbles first up, but dives and pounces on that ball before Max Brown can capitalise. That's where Jared Carl's so dangerous. He can just pick up the ball and fire it across. And he's got such a boot on him as the Englishman, who had such a slow start last season. He only scored 1 goal in his first 8 games of the 2019 campaign, but then followed that up by scoring 6 games in a row as McHenry plays the ball through towards Madley. Madley up against Wellsmore, and Wellsmore once again does very, very well against the experienced and very, very dangerous Marek Madley. Back to Jared Carl. He scored 6 games in a row after only scoring once in the first 8 games. Then he scored 8 goals in his last 9 games of 2019. and that was scoring in 7 of those 9 games. So he came good towards the back end of the season for former Gold Coast City player. He's already scored in both of his 2 games this season against Strikers and Redlands United. He did miss the first game of the season due to the suspension he picked up for being sent off in that grand final for a second bookable offence that could arguably have been his 3rd bookable offence at the end of that first half. And Chevsky, his pass wasn't the best. It was really easily dealt with by Walker, and now Knights will come again. Panetta releases Max Brown on this right-hand side. Brown doesn't have too many options in the middle, so he'll go back to Makwaze. Jared Carl is waiting. Makwaze instead goes back to Mitch Nichols. Mitch Nichols might take it upon himself to have a shot at some stage of this match as Brown delivers the ball. Oh, it's in! I don't know how much he knew about it, but the ball's in the back of the net. It caught everyone by surprise, including Jake Reesby, and that's who counts in this situation. Gold Coast Knights have a perhaps fortuitous lead, and it's taken 37 minutes. But the first goals has gone the way of Gold Coast Knights. I was trying to find a word because it's not the first goal scoring opportunity by any stretch, but was that even a goal scoring opportunity in the first place? I'm not sure. Nevertheless, Max Brown has his 4th in his 4th game of the season. I'm just checking a replay now. Oh, maybe he did mean it, maybe he didn't. His reaction perhaps suggested he didn't, but the nonchalant way in which he just hammered the ball in at the near post, catching Jake Reesby out, well, maybe he did. Nevertheless, it is advantage Gold Coast Knights in this massive round 5 clash between the 2 teams yet to drop a point in the National Premier League Queensland in 2020. They're not the only unbeaten teams. There's 4 of those in the competition. Lions ahead of them, and Brisbane City. Lions take on Capalaba today, and Brisbane City are at home to Easts in what is their season opener up there at Corporate Travel Management Stadium. We'll run you through all the scores from around the grounds at half-time. Gold Coast Knights with that goal, and no doubt we'll hear during the week, or indeed after the match, whether or not that was intentional. And this is an opportunity perhaps, as Tom Strickland just crabbed his way across towards the edge of the penalty area and then tested Josh Langdon's positioning and found it to be more than able. Walker. Carl's going to give chase. Trent McAvoy's not easily intimidated and does well, although Janchevsky then gives the ball away. Oh, an opportunity here for Brown to make it 2! And just like that, Max Brown has 2! 2 goals in 2 minutes, and Gold Coast Knights are suddenly flying. No doubt about that one for Max Brown. Lovely little touch inside, although the ball was coughed up by Janchevsky. And it can happen just like that. Merritt Madley standing with his foot on the ball at the moment in the centre circle, just shrugging his shoulders, saying 3 minutes ago it was 0-0 and we looked to be pretty comfortable. All of a sudden, we're 2 goals down, just 5 minutes away from half-time, and really up against it away down on the Gold Coast at the Croatian sports grounds. Crestani goes long towards Woolley. It's headed away by Walker. Janchevsky looking to make amends. Can't work a pass through. There's a little bit of rain falling now. That might make things a little bit interesting. It is. One of the many times I'm pleased that we have a roof here. The rain really is coming down, actually. all of a sudden, as spectators are scrambling to get into the clubhouse, where they can perhaps enjoy our commentary on the big screen. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching, via Football Queensland's YouTube or Facebook pages. Makwase is going to give chase here to Sam Cronin. Sam Cronin does well and will switch play over to the far side of the field, and McHenry does well to keep it in. Plays the ball inside to Strickland. Strickland has to go back though to Sam Roper. Sorry, to Kuna. Kuna and Strickland. Strickland wanted a return ball. Instead it's gone to Roper. Roper into the middle. A diving effort from Woolley, I think it was, but it was really well defended by Emlyn Wellsmore. How many times? Oh, it wasn't Emlyn Wellsmore, it was Jaden Walker, but we have said Emlyn Wellsmore's been defending well on a number of occasions so far. It'll be a throw-in over on that far side of the field, and I fancy that Peninsula Power would like to take a long throw here and deliver the ball as if it were a corner. It's delivered into the danger zone, headed clear by Jared Carl, doing his defensive duties. Strickland plays it back inside. Kuna waits. It'll be a corner though. Can't get his head to the ball first time around, but Peninsula Power, as they were before they conceded those two quick goals, getting themselves back in a more dominant position. Rain is coming down almost horizontally at the moment. Such is the wind, coming down in sheets. It's sent in. It's going to make life difficult for goalkeepers, these wet conditions, particularly Josh Langdon having to look into the rain as it's coming across. Fortunately for him, that corner just sailed over his head and out for a goal kick. Gusting wind is proving difficult, and the conditions all of a sudden have worsened here down on the Gold Coast. It has been a wet start to the National Premier League's Queensland season. Prasad helps that one back inside. Carl jumps. It comes for Carl. Carl's going to have a shot, and Jake Reesby had to be alert there. Looked like just a pot shot and buying a ticket for the lottery, and well, some of those numbers came up there for Jared Carl, and Jake Reesby managed to just get there inside and stop the ball from sailing into that top corner. It would have been a sucker punch just a couple of minutes before half-time. Wind really is blowing across us now. You can probably hear on our microphone. We do what we can in difficult conditions, though it does look like the rain has stopped, which the players and spectators will both be thankful for. Hoods are being withdrawn and umbrellas resheathed. Trent McAvoy, the captain. Wide to McHenry. McHenry inside to Roper. Roper now to Cronin, who tries to turn the corner, but the ball's picked off by Prasad. Now Mitch Nichols puts the ball back inside to Max Brown, who scored two. Prasad on the run. It was cleared by Cam Crestani, and that's going to go over and hit the Australia flag over on the far side of the field, just above the scoreboard. 30 seconds remaining before half-time. And Gold Coast Knights, perhaps, despite not being the team as dominant as you'd expect them to be at home, will be thankful to be heading into a break by 2-0. Certainly in a dominant position on the scoreboard, which is where it counts. Although Peninsula Power will be fairly pleased with how they've played in this first half, despite not really creating too many genuine goal-scoring opportunities. Kuna. Roper. Now Crestani. Crestani gets forward. Crestani's going to keep going, play the ball forward towards where Madley, or where he hoped Merrick Madley would be, and now Jason Makwase. Makwase might well go himself. He doesn't have much support. 3 Peninsula Power players. The ball just popped up and hit Jason Makwase on the arm. You can see what he thinks of that decision. And I was talking to the officiating team before the game, and they were talking about the handball law and how they have to change the way they think about it with the new interpretations of the rule. We'll We were unsighted up here, but you'd have to say the referee got that decision right based on the reactions of the players. This is an awkward ball played inside. It was Mitch Nichols heading the ball away. Mkwase brings it down, but Crestani's going to get there, and he's going to get some assistance from Dan Cooner. Roper will want to deliver the ball wide to Josh Woolley, and he does so. Woolley has time and space to pick out an option. It's not the best cross, it's far too deep. Could work out for Peninsula Power though with McHenry. McHenry skips past Mkwase. McHenry! And a sprawling Josh Langdon would perhaps be thankful that that just trickled the wrong side of the post. An excellent effort from Daniel McHenry, who I rather disparagingly said wasn't as dangerous in front of goal as some of his teammates. He has provided both of the clear chances for Peninsula Power in this first half, but they head into the sheds trailing by 2-0. 2 goals to Max Brown in the 38th and 40th minutes. Well, the first one was a little bit fortuitous, you have to say. I'm not quite sure whether he intended it or was just being deliberately nonchalant in the way he celebrated, as his cross-come shot sailed into the top corner, beating Jake Reesby at his near post. No doubt about the second, though. Lovely ball inside, and then a lovely, delicate touch past the Peninsula Power keeper, who could do nothing to keep the ball from trickling into the back of the net off the near post. We've got plenty more to go here in the second half. We hope you join us for that here at Carrara, but first we'll have a few short messages.
Right shot and it's in! What a goal! Oh! What a heart! Keeps your heart out! They scored! They scored! It's over the line! Handball! Oh, handball! Oh my word! Oh, amazing touch. Spectacular.
This time the cross. A towering header.
The keeper's out. The net's open.
Some people can't hide their passion. Don't hide yours. Join our team.
When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
Happiness is knowing you'll find the perfect vehicle every time. Thrifty, smiles all the way.
Evening, welcome back to the Croatian Sports Centre here on Queensland's Gold Coast at Carrara, where it's for hosts. Gold Coast Knights leading Peninsula Power by 2-0. The battle of the two teams who have yet to drop a point in the National Premier League Queensland in the 2020 season. And at the moment, it's Gold Coast Knights looking to extend their winning run to 11. It's a run that stretches all the way back to round 24's defeat against Lions last year. They've been pretty dominant at home here at Carrara, have Gold Coast Knights. The last time they dropped points was in round 7 against Gold Coast United, all the way back in March last year. But they did, of course, lose to Strikers in the FFA Cup round 7 by 5-1. That was their only home defeat last season. It's 2 to Max Brown, who looked to be extending that run here in round 5 of the 2020 season. If you're just catching up, the under-20s game finished 5-3 in favour of Knights. A really fantastic game, but really burst into life in the final stages of the contest. There'll still be plenty of goals in this match. Yeah, Peninsula Power still well in this match. They had probably the majority of the possession in that first half of the match. Unable to really test Josh Langdon other than a couple of efforts as Gold Coast Knights in the red shirts kick things off in the second half, kicking from right to left, and that ball forward by Matt Schmidt is onto the chest of Cam Crestani, and here comes Roper. Strickland to Sam Cronin. Cronin's going to go all the way back to Crestani, who has a little bit of space and a little bit of time. He'll choose it. He'll use it by going back to Dan Cooner. Cooner trying to thread the needle. Mitch Nichols picks up the ball that was intended for Sam Cronin, and he'll go all the way back to his keeper, Josh Langdon. A couple of other scores from around the grounds in the National Premier League Queensland. We'll wait for this move to just play itself out. Roman Hoffman let that ball go under his foot. I don't think he meant to either, and you can see what it means to Tom Strickland that he didn't take the chance, because that ball was just there to be hit, or at least be run onto. He'd have had the goal at his mercy as Knights play the ball out, one-touch football. Max Brown just unable to get onto the end of that. It was well cut out by Dan McHenry, all the way forward to Josh Langdon in the Gold Coast Knights goal, though his ball goes straight out on the full. Just quickly running through the result. The one result, hang on, as Marek Madley gets to the byline, puts the ball back inside. It's well defended in the end. And Gold Coast Knights will take the ball out. Well, we'll give you this updated scores in a couple of moments. Just down the road at Coplix Family Sports Park, it's Gold Coast United leading Magpies Crusaders by 2-1. Just 10 minutes remaining there in that one. Still in the first half at Lions Stadium at Richlands. Lions leading Capalaba by 1-0, and the early result, Brisbane City lost to Eastern Suburbs by 4-2. As Jared Carl picks up the ball over on that far side of the field. We'll keep you updated throughout the second half of the results in the other matches. You can watch every single game of the National Premier League Queensland, Football Queensland Premier League and National Premier League's women's competition live on Football Queensland's Facebook page and YouTube channel. And we thank you that you've joined us for this one here today. Brassard looked like he was going to shape to shoot. He will shoot this time, and it's a brilliant effort. Reesby got two strong hands to it. It's fallen though for Jared Kyle. Walker, his cross just over the head of everyone, including Max Brown arriving at the back post. What a hit from Jaden Brassard. Reesby had to watch it all the way, and it was destined for that top corner of the goal. The Peninsula Power keeper did really, really well. He's done pretty well on a couple of occasions so far today, although he has been beaten twice, on both occasions by Max Brown. 7 and 5 minutes before the half-time break, respectively. Crestani. Another ball comes onto the field. Opens up ahead of Crestani and he releases Dan McHenry, a former Western Pride teammate. They both won a championship together in 2017 out of the Ipswich club. That ball is picked off by Strickland, goes back inside. Roper can't get to it though. Picked off by Panetta, who's continued his run, but the ball's at the feet of Peninsula Power, though, given away by McAvoy to Jason Makwaze. It's hit the head of Kuna on its way through to Panetta. Now Mitch Nichols switches play over to this near side of the field. There's two players there. One of them is Jaden Prasad, who'll pick up the ball now. Prasad's going to cut back inside. He might have another shot here, you know. Instead, he goes to Mitch Nichols, opting to maintain possession, Gold Coast Knights. Prasad, lovely one-touch football, though. That's excellent work, just picking off that ball by Sam Roper, although he might have done himself a bit of a mischief there. Cronin leaves it behind and then tries to turn the corner but runs out of real estate. Excellent work by Roman Hoffman. Referee's just pausing play for a moment just to check, I think, on the welfare of Sam Roper, although he's been told he's okay to continue. And Gold Coast Knights do just that through Emlyn Wellsmore, who had an excellent first half. Goes back to his keeper Langdon, under pressure from Madley. Schmidt inside to Nichols. Nichols under pressure from Roper, who appears to be okay and moving okay. Wellsmore dodges one challenge and then skips away from a tackle, or an attempted tackle by Woolley. Makwaze tries to go around the outside, does go around the outside, then goes to ground. No foul, says the referee. Janchevsky did not impede Jason Makwaze, according to our officiating team. Woolley helps it on its way to Madley. Madley wins the foot race. Madley does really well. It's fallen for Cronin on the edge of the penalty area. It doesn't quite fall kindly enough for him to get a shot away, though. He's under pressure from Panetta. Panetta's like a terrier and unwilling to give up the ghost there. Madley gets stuck in on Mitch Nichols, and the referee's blown his whistle a couple of times. A card will be forthcoming. Mitch Nichols appears to be in some pain. The physio is being told to come on. Madley is getting a couple of little pushes away from Mitch Nichols. I think Madley will just be checking on Mitch Nichols' well-being. That's exactly what he's saying to Roman Hoffman. It was clumsy, if anything, from Marek Madley. The yellow card is shown. And Mitch Nichols pops up like a jack-in-the-box. He's incredibly resilient. The two shake hands and show that there's no hard feelings. It was just clumsy. There was nothing malicious in there from Marek Madley, the 28-year-old, who can be enthusiastic in the challenge, it's fair to be said. Still some conversations going on. Yeah, it was right on the back of the calf and maybe even the Achilles tendon there. An awkward one, a nasty one for Mitch Nichols, but he'll be okay to continue. As I said, resilient. He played with at least a niggle for a good chunk of last season. He sprays the ball out, just testing that lower leg. He's headed away and at the chest of Roper. Roper just turns past the challenge of Brown. Kuna to McHenry, lovely touch. Inside to Strickland. Strickland wanting to release Madley. It's another poor ball forward. That final ball in the final third from Peninsula Power has not been great all night. Something to work on perhaps for a team that's had no trouble scoring goals, although they have been coming in diminishing returns. 8 in the first week, 3 in the second, and just 1 last week against Olympic, although it has to be said against increasing levels of opposition. That ball can hit the hand as Madley fires an opportunist strike, but it's high and wide of the target. If you're wondering why the whistle didn't go there when Dan Kuna had the ball pop up onto his hand, it was a deflection off his own thigh, so the deflection doesn't count necessarily as a handball in that situation. I think perhaps he might be explaining that to Nick Panetta at the moment, although to be honest, there's a lot of confusion around what constitutes a handball these days. I do agree with the non-call on that occasion. McHenry came, McHenry saw, and McHenry has given away a throw-in on this near side of the field. Ball just skidding off the top of his head under pressure from Jaden Prasad. I'll say it quietly just in case it does pick up, but the wind has died a little bit for this second half. It's making conditions for the players and commentators and cameramen alike a little bit more comfortable. Inside by Schmidt. Excellent from Panetta. It's opening up for Panetta. Tried to find Makwaze, but it's played away. Nichols can't get his foot on the ball, and Madley cuts it back to Cronin. Cronin's going crossfield and can't find Madley. Mitch Nichols excellently placed, expertly placed to pick that ball off. Knights a little bit hurried. They get their feet on the ball between Prasad and Panetta, and they managed to get things back under the control and switch play to Emlyn Wellsmore over on the far side of the field. Now Walker. Makwaze. Inside to Brown, lovely pass, excellent work. That is an excellent, excellent goal from Gold Coast Knights. Jaden Walker has his first goal of the season, his first goal in the last 2 seasons for the senior side. And 8 minutes into the second half, Gold Coast Knights cushion goes up to 3 goals. They lead Peninsula Power 3-0. Jaden Walker with the strike. That was sumptuous football from Gold Coast Knights. Walker, Makwaze, Brown, all linking up perfectly to fashion that chance. And then a wonderful finish from Walker. There's shoulders being shrugged, fingers being pointed for those in blue shirts at the moment. And they'll be wondering how this game has suddenly got away from them so quickly. It's about taking their opportunities and being brutally exposed at the back by some really lovely, crisp passing from Gold Coast Knights. And they really do look the business so far in this 2020 season. That's better link-up play from Peninsula Power, although it's well cleared by Roman Hoffman and cleared into the wasteland behind that warehouse. Crestani, Kuna back to Crestani. McHenry is free on this near side. I say Crestani will find him eventually, although McHenry gives up and decides to just make himself available closer to the Gold Coast Knights penalty area as the ball is played over on the far side of the field. Cronin. Crestani. Cronin with the touch. Cronin injecting some pace. Woolley gets a shot away, never got hold of it though, and it was comfortably dealt with by Langdon. Langdon will take his time. Schmidt. Prasad under pressure from Kuna. Kuna gives away the free kick. Didn't look like much, it has to be said. That's not how the referee saw it. Free kick should be taken inside for Gold Coast Knights' defensive half. Nick Panetta walks the ball slowly back to the correct position. In fact, the ball's gone all the way back, so perhaps it wasn't for a foul on by Dan Kuna. An infringement that I didn't pick up. Here's Wellsmore. Knights firmly in the ascendancy, leading 3-0. Lovely ball over the top towards Max Brown. Oh, went back to the keeper, did Crestani. And Reesby hammers the ball upfield. It's worked out for Peninsula Power. Well, now Mitch Nichols has the ball, and he gives the ball away. That should be a booking for Mitch Nichols, and I think it will be. He's been treading a bit of a tightrope in terms of being cautioned so far, has Mitch Nichols. It's only the second card of the contest, and he quite clearly pulled back Josh Woolley. It's an intelligent foul to give away, really, because Peninsula Power haven't really been able to craft anything from these opportunities that they have had plenty of. Langdon came and Langdon claimed brilliantly. Makwase is free over on that far side of the field, and although there is no real need to have any attacking impetus other than to make a statement, which Knights will not be loath to make, it has to be said, against a genuine Premiership contender. 3-0 up, they didn't perhaps decide the impetus was required. McHenry goes up against Prasad and gets a slight win in that situation. A corner. Can Peninsula Power get something going in this second half? Just a deflection perhaps. They'll take a deflection, but rather a well-struck, well-headed goal for sure, but frankly if the ball ends up in the back of the net and makes this a contest, it won't matter how it gets there. Well, it fell at the feet of Cronin, but he was rather flat-footed when it did arrive to him, and Gold Coast Knights are going to be able to break here. Emlyn Wellsmore it is over on that far side field, and he's going to take on Dan Cooner, but Cooner comes up away with it. But that's excellent from Wellsmore. And here's Jason Makwase. Wellsmore's continued his run. Wellsmore on the outside. Wellsmore might well have a shot here. Instead, he's going to try and square to Max Brown. It's Cam Crestani who gets his body in the way. It'll be a Gold Coast Knights corner. Lightning counter-attack from Gold Coast Knights, and that's all they need to do now. Will Aaron Phillip make changes? He's got Brenton Fox on the bench. He scored 10 goals last season. Richard Hurlin, of course, the Welsh veteran. James Fairgrieve as well. Mitchell Bird, former Western Pride Championship winner. There's really no desire to get this ball played in quickly, although Prasad looked to take advantage of an extra ball being played on the field. Referee told him to get back, gets the ball anyway. Prasad gets a lovely inside ball, picks his spot, a brilliant sprawling save from Reesby. Jared Carl keeps possession for Gold Coast Knights. It's played in by Brown, so no one in particular will be out for a goal kick. Coming up to 15 minutes gone in this second half. Gold Coast Knights leading by 3-0, looking very comfortable, very much in control. We are going to have a substitution. Josh Woolley makes way, and so does Marek Madley, and it is going to be James Fairgrieve and Mitchell Bird who replace them. Double change from Aaron Phillip and Peninsula Power in an attempt to inject some excitement into the game, although one of those changes might not have been Woolley in the end. It looks like Sam Roper has sat himself down. Here's Brenton Fox. Bird tried to play the ball wide. It's there for Strickland. Strickland with a nice little shimmy turn. Fox with an even better one on the edge of the penalty area, though Mitch Nichols bundles him off the ball. And here come Gold Coast Knights through Makwase. Makwase goes down under the challenge of Cam Crestani. Crestani tells Makwase to get up. The referee doesn't blow his whistle, so no foul is given. Do you know, it might have been a triple substitution for Peninsula Power. If Sam Roper has in fact sat down and Brenton Fox is on the field. I'll try and sort my numbers out in a minute. Yeah, it was a triple substitution, so big roll of the dice from Aaron Phillip. You can sense that this game is certainly getting away from him. As Max Brown plays in Jared Carl, although asks quite a lot of his big striker, who does very well to keep the ball in on both touchlines over on that far side of the field. Prasad's pass a little bit too heavy, and Peninsula Power will look to counter-attack. It's excellently disrupted though by Panetta. Panetta goes wide to Max Schmidt. Schmidt to Makwaze. Crestani got a piece of Makwaze there. He's told to get up. Makwaze is pressing his case and will continue to do so. Nichols. Crestani going around like a bull in a china shop at the moment, but he's doing so legally. Brown shifts the ball wide. Excellent ball retention from the Knights. At the back post was Brown. He was offside. The flag went up. Makwaze is still unhappy that he didn't get a free kick given against Cam Crestani, although the referee just wants to see Makwaze stand up a bit in those challenges. Makwaze chasing back now against McHenry. An excellent sliding effort from Nick Panetta. McAvoy. Kuna. Ball switched to McHenry. Lovely ball. Langdon does well. Always a little bit too far ahead of Dan McHenry. He's just showing that he's still got his skates on. Ball by Walker for Max Brown to chase. Playing with fire, Peninsula Power at the back. They'll switch to this near side, although Makwaze picks it off. Opportunity here. Well, that's excellent work by Dan Kuna to snuff out that challenge. And he gets past a couple of Gold Coast Knight would-be challengers. Long ball forward. Has to be dealt with. Isn't really dealt with at all, but that's not the best effort from James Fairgrieve. The 26-year-old would like to have his time again, you'd have thought. Rather rushed his shot and it turned into a pretty simple back pass for Josh Langdon to deal with. Kyle, nice touch. Goes the wrong way though and has to find his defensive centre half, Roman Hoffman. Oh, a slip there, was it, from Trent McAvoy. Did have some rain towards the end of the first half. That's made the ground a little slippy. Nearly 20 minutes into the second half as Carl picks up the ball, and Carl's going to have a pop shot. He can get plenty behind his shots, can Jared Kyle. And Jake Reesby can only palm it behind for a corner. Never really looked in danger of being beaten, did Reesby, but nevertheless, Jared Kyle's had a couple of pot shots like that, and he'll be looking to continue his goal per game ratio this season. Stands at 2 in 2 so far. Kid's not particularly keen to give the ball back, so we're going to have to get a new one from halfway. Taken short. Jaden Prasad, deflection, and it was a deflection off Hoffman. No, it's another corner. Looked like Hoffman might have got the last touch. It was a Peninsula Power defender in close proximity to Hoffman. Lovely effort though from Jaden Prasad. Here's Makwaze, goes to ground. Crestani's there again, is he? No, he's keeping clear of that confrontation for now. Free kick goes the way of Peninsula Power. They take it quickly. They look to maintain possession, but playing the ball around inside their own defensive third is all well and good. They need it up the other end if they're to start reducing this deficit. Turn around the corner. McAvoy heads it to Cronin. Cronin keeps it in. Didn't have a lot of room to work with. Does well. Fox wins a free kick, was being held. Good advantage looked for by the referee. Here's Fox. So it wasn't Fox, it was Mitchell Bird. Kuna twisting and turning, twisting Nick Panetta in knots. Makwase bundled off the ball by McHenry. Good strength from McHenry. The ball was aimed in towards Brenton Fox. Now Makwase has possession. It's picked off by McHenry though. Strickland. Played the ball inside to Bird, I think. Unable to do much with it though. Still there for Peninsula Power though. Cronin. Oh, Jared Kyle looked interested in that for a moment. Brenton Fox was interested in that one, got his foot to the ball, but Mitch Nichols has it now, links up with Makwase, now links up with Panetta. Panetta plays it well behind Jaden Walker, but it's picked up over on that far side of the field by Prasad. Nichols, Knights doing well in possession now and looking very calm and collected with it. Touch inside by Schmidt to Makwase. Makwase back inside to Brown. Carl will be offside if he gets the ball. He doesn't, it's Makwase. Here's Max Brown. Now Jared Kyle's onside. Makwase still on the deck. This is brilliant from Jared Kyle. Excellent challenge though from Reesby. Kyle stays on his feet. Still there now for Matt Schmidt. Now Kyle. He could have gone down there, you know. Here's Jason Makwase, and that was a rather disappointing way to end that move. Jared Kyle had a couple of opportunities there to go down. He certainly got touched by Reesby, who did well to just get his hand to the ball first, so I don't think that would have been a penalty. But then he rather rode that challenge from Dan Kuna. Yeah, it's really, really good work from Jared Kyle. Jason Makwase's worked incredibly hard, and he is going to make way in the first substitution that Gray Piddock's going to make of the afternoon, or the evening. Is it going to be a slight change of shape? It's Reese Lambert, former Capella Bar Bulldog, who comes into the fray. Bird. No handball, says the referee. Bird can't thread the needle though, and it's taken away by Wellsmore. Oh, nice touch by Brown. Oh, and again, Prasad. Oh, that time Peninsula Power do manage to get their feet onto the ball. Mitchell Bird it was tracking back. The ball's at the feet of Jake Reesby. Fairgrave. Kuna wants it in the middle. Instead he goes back to Cronin. Cronin's being pegged in by Max Brown. They get away though, Peninsula Power with Strickland. Strickland rides a challenge from his opposite number, Max Brown. Cuts the ball back inside expertly. Crestani. McHenry. Slides the ball in towards Fox. Still there for Fox though, going up against Mitch Nichols. Fox gets a cross in. It's headed away by Wellsmore. Still there for McHenry. Now Gold Coast Knights get possession and they'll play the ball out. One-touch football. So they've done so well, both in attack and defence. McAvoy gets there ahead of Max Brown on that occasion. Now Strickland. Can't thread the needle through, and that's been the story of Peninsula Power's night so far. Nichols. Panetta. Nichols. Inside. Now Jared Kyle. Kyle for Reese Lambert to run onto. Pass wasn't the best. Still there though for the Knights. But now Dan Kuna has possession. Rides one challenge. Referee momentarily raised his whistle to his lips, decided to let play continue. That's what we want to see. Cronin. Cronin linked up with Strickland. It's still Cronin, now Strickland again. White and Janchevsky. Cross comes in. Headed away by Wellsmore. Panetta. Panetta does really well against McHenry. Nice footwork from Nick Panetta, although he ran into a bit of a blind alley in the form of Dan Kuna there. Kuna has space. Mitchell Bird. Bird goes back to Kuna. Strickland. Slayed off, the shot comes in, it's just fizzed over the top from Sam Cronin. He's had 6 goals in 3 games, but that was the closest he's come so far tonight for Peninsula Power. It was well left by Langdon in the end. It'll be a goal kick. Knights will take on Moreton Bay United next week, and then the week after in the FFA Cup. Before then heading to New Boys Capalaba. And then a massive home tie in round 8 against Lions. That'll be one to watch if Lions continue their unbeaten streak. The Premiers and the Champions doing battle. Prasad. Prasad does well against Janchevsky. Plays the ball back to substitute Lambert. Here's Mitch Nichols pulling the strings in that deep-lying midfield role. Gets the ball back from Schmidt. Plays the ball inside. Lovely touch from Nick Manetta. Here's a lovely effort. Mitch Nichols just off balance when he's made that shot. And Jake Reesby on hand to make the save. First time Mitch Nichols has really gone into an attacking role in open play. Just injecting that pace. Crestani switches play over to the far side of the field. Peninsula Power running out of time, just 16 minutes of normal time remaining. They trail by 3 goals to 0. Cronin. Back inside to Kuna. That's a very heavy pass from Brenton Fox for Dan McHenry to chase. It'll be a goal kick. Have another substitution. It looks like it'll be Jaden Prasad who's making way. It's been very good, Jaden Prasad, today. Really bringing that pace over on that right-hand side. He's getting the plaudits from his bench at the moment. His replacement is Matt Henvey, a 20-year-old Scot from Perth, the Scottish variety, that is. Played 5 games in the Scottish Premier League for Dundee, did Matt Henvey. Been told to keep an eye on him as Roman Hoffman tracks back and does well. Schmidt plays the ball back inside to Nichols. Nichols with a cute little touch to the substitute Lambert. Nichols again taking the pace off the ball. Max Brown, Panetta, Nichols trying to be a bit too cute there. It's kept in just about by Sam Cronin, but can only pass the ball to Schmidt, who switches play over to the far side of the field. Here's Brown. Good challenge from Kuna. Bird. Oh, it's fallen here for excellent effort. And Brenton Fox has been lively since he's come on. Scored 10 goals last year, former Caboolture man. Also had a spell with Moreton Bay United, but they are getting a bit closer, Peninsula Power, but haven't troubled the scorers as yet. They still trail by 3 goals to 0. Time very much running out for them here at the Croatian Sports Centre. Here's Fox. Knights want the ball, and it will be Knights' ball. Fox is intimating that an elbow was thrown. To admit, I didn't see it. Looked very shoulder to shoulder to me. And Walker takes the throw to Wellsmore. He's been excellent, Wellsmore, today, dealing with any of the challenges put before him with maturity that you wouldn't expect from such a young player. That ball came off McHenry. It'll be a throw into Gold Coast Knights, and Schmidt's not showing too much inclination to take it. This is taking time wasting to a new level, and they've been very comfortable. I don't think they need to do this, Gold Coast Knights, and the referee has suggested that the time will be added on in any case. Getting a bit frantic from Peninsula Power now. Challenges flying in. That's the first touch for Henvey. Two substitutes linking up, Henvey and Lambert. Henvey goes to ground, no foul. Crestani tells him to get up, a wry smile on the former Western Pride captain's face. Here's Janchevsky, tries to thread the needle again. The pass forward is really poor from Peninsula Power. They've been asking so much of their strikers just to try and latch onto these through balls that have been played with far too much pace. Crestani gets a bit of a shove in the back that time from Matt Henvey. No doubt about that decision. Crestani using his experience on the 20-year-old. Strickland allowed to turn. Fox will cut across field. Cronin takes it at walking pace. Kuna. Strickland injects something a little bit more rapid, but then Cronin gives the ball away. Crestani claims the long ball forward though. Henvey latches up on the scraps. It hit Crestani on the chest. Panetta is appealing for a handball. Kuna is battling with Nichols in the midfield. Nichols has possession. Kuna almost falls over himself trying to get to Nichols. And Nichols picks up the loose ball from Schmidt, and there's space ahead of him, and he's going to use it, Mitch Nichols. McHenry, though, equal to that challenge, and Mitch Nichols, frustrated, removes the armband and reapplies it. One more substitution to be made by Gray Piddock, and he's going to make it now. Jared Kyle is walking over. It will be Jared Kyle who makes way. No goal for him this afternoon. He's been replaced by Daniel Dragesevic, who was with Knights last year, although did leave, moving to Surfers Paradise in the local league here on the Gold Coast, saying that he felt hard done by a lack of playing time. Only managed 6 appearances for the Knights. It's another ball forward. He's wayward. Well, I think there were 2 balls on the field. So we're going to have the throw taken again. Gray Piddock unimpressed with whatever's happening. Still pointing. Cronin takes it down. Skips past 3 challenges with a lovely bit of footwork. And continues stepping over the ball with no one in too closer proximity. His pass isn't the best, and that allows Matt Henvey to run at Cam Crestani. Henvey trying to stand up Crestani. He gets assistant throw from Kuna, and now he's a little bit handsy with Dan Kuna, is the Scot Matt Henvey. And Peninsula Power will come again. Just not getting those passes right though, and Gold Coast Knights are just picking them off at will. Here's the substitute, Daniel Dragesevic. Will be looking to make an impact this year. Pass inside is picked off by McAvoy. Then the pass forward is picked off in turn by Lambert. Bit sloppy now in the closing stage of this one. Dragesevic linking up well with Nichols. Oh, sorry, it was Matt Henvey linking up with Nichols. The second pass towards Nichols, not the best. Panetta picks it off. McHenry bulldozes his way through. Challenge comes flying in from Lambert, and then he has a second go at Mitchell Bird. Free kick given to Peninsula Power. Space for Fox. Fox tried to thread the needle, got a touch on its way through by Roman Hoffman, I think. Panetta goes to ground, uses the ground to turn, does well. His pass forward isn't the best. It's very scrappy at the moment. Good strength from Strickland though, gets past a multitude of Knights defenders. Ball into Fox isn't the best though, it's still there for Strickland. Now Fox has an opportunity to turn. Go round Schmidt, lovely turn by Fox, it took a deflection and it came off Hoffman, I think. Oh, it's pinballing around the penalty area. Mitch Nichols uses his experience to just get the ball under control and now plays the ball out through the midfield, and an opportunity perhaps for Gold Coast Knights to stretch Peninsula Power once again. Excellent tackle that from Dan McHenry on Panetta, because if Panetta had got through then, he'd have been away with only Cam Crestani and Jake Reesby to beat, although McHenry has come a cropper in making that challenge, and Nick Panetta has copped a little bit of cramp himself, it has to be said, although with a lot of the time-wasting tactics we've seen, you wouldn't put it past this being another one with 12 minutes or so remaining in this match. Not even 7 minutes remaining in this match. The players suffering with cramp. The humidity's not what it is in Brisbane down here on the coast, it has to be said. Still warm. Wind has died down. It's a throw in and nothing more. Excellent challenge from McHenry. And the triple substitution from Aaron Phillip hasn't paid off. It's a triple in terms of goals scored from Gold Coast Knights that's doing the damage so far as Nichols picks up possession in midfield. Nick Panetta wide to Walker, who scored the third, plays the ball inside to Brown, who scored the first two. Never gets to him though, and Peninsula Power will come away through Strickland, who's been lively in the second half. He's given the ball away again though. Panetta. Bit early to go for the corner. Nichols is free inside. Injects some pace, linking up with Henvey. Nichols. Max Brown is wide, looking for the hat-trick. Some Bronx cheers from his own supporters there as Max Brown just fell away as he tried to strike that ball in at the near post. That's how he beat Jake Reesby in the first place, and he's picked up the ball there on the edge of the penalty area. Laid it off to Henvey. Henvey pinballs off a couple of Peninsula Power defenders. Comes off second best in the second of those challenges. Here's Cronin. Fox to Kuna. Cronin. Wide to Janchevsky. Janchevsky with a good-looking ball, but it's picked off by Langdon before Bird can pull the trigger inside the 6-yard box. Good goalkeeping from Langdon. Crestani goes down under the challenge from Henvey. Play on is the call. Good decision from the referee, you have to say. Nichols has taken out the Peninsula Power player. Didn't look malicious in any way, and just a clash of knees, I think. It was Cronin who came a cropper. Plays the ball quickly though to Kuna. Kuna's done almost everything today, so attempts a pot shot from distance. It was always sailing high and wide of the target. Over the crossbar. And that sums up Peninsula Power's night in the final 5 minutes of this contest. Pot shots from range is all they've been able to muster. Langdon's been equal to those that have been on target. A disappointing trip home up the M1 for the Peninsula Power supporters and players, who might have expected more. Kuna and McAvoy conspire to win that ball back, although the ever-present Mitch Nichols picks up possession for Gold Coast Knights. Goes without saying that he's been excellent again, Mitch Nichols. One of the Football Queensland players of the month. Along with Sam Cronin, it has to be said, although Cronin's not been able to feature too much today. It's turned around inside. Max Brown's giving chase. He wants that hat-trick. It was Dragesevic who turned it round the corner. Dragesevic played his first game last week. First game of the season last week in that victory over Redlands United, that emphatic victory over Redlands United. And Quasi got 4 goals in that game. Brown got 2. He's got another 2 today. Nichols scored in that match as well as scoring an absolute glorious goal, the 3rd in that first match of the season victory over Olympic. He's been good today as well, just making that trademark burst into the box. He could fancy himself here on the edge of a penalty area, although the shot did come in towards the near post. It was comfortably dealt with by Reesby through Max Brown. He really does want that hat-trick. He'll shoot on sight now, you'd expect, in the last 5 minutes, and it would have been well worth it. He's been excellent again, Max Brown. Crestani allowed to run. Nice little touch by Bird. Bird plays ball wide to McHenry, his former Western Pride teammate. Now Mitchell Bird again on the edge of the penalty area. It's a really poor pass, though, to no one in particular. I guess he saw Sam Cronin out the corner of his eye, but another pass in the final third goes wayward thanks to Peninsula Power. They've not given up the ghost yet, though, despite the task seemingly being insurmountable. Cronin inside to Bird. It wasn't to Bird, it was to Fox. Fox goes down, gets up, tries to bounce off a couple of challenges. Here's Max Brown on halfway. Lovely interplay again from Knights. They've been so good with that interplay. Here's Fox. Too far ahead of Strickland. How many times have we said that today as we enter the final 60 seconds? There will be time added on. Lambert. Back to Wellsmore. Had a fair bit of work to do in the first half, did Emlyn Wellsmore. Hasn't been tested too much in the second. Lovely ball forward to Dragesevic. It was a handball, though. Just popped up and hit him on the arm. Crestani takes it quickly. Minchevsky over the top towards Bird. Bird does well up against Walker. Bird back to Fox. Fox gets his foot there. Twists, turns. He'll have a pot shot here. Fox! An acrobatic cameraman save from Josh Langdon. And we'll hope the snappers caught that one. Catching the ball at full stretch. It was a good save that needed to be made. He'll have to play this ball out fairly sharpish as Bird bears down on him. It's been so easy for Gold Coast Knights. Even when they've been stretched, it's been Peninsula Power who are their own worst enemy. Reesby to Fox. Fox control isn't the best first up. He keeps to his feet, though, and does win a free kick belatedly from the referee. There's some frustration shown by Matt Schmidt. It looked to be the right decision. I was surprised the whistle didn't go immediately. Crestani takes it quickly. McHenry's going to just go himself. Why not? He's had a couple of opportunities. Can't find the final ball. We'll save that on repeat and keep that on loop. Dragesevic goes back to Schmidt. Schmidt inside. Lovely touch from Reese Lambert. His ball forward not the best. It's taken up by McAvoy. Fox cuts back inside, does Fox. And again, Mitch Nichols, though, shadowed him all the way and takes the ball away himself. Henvey will be offside, so he comes back into an onside position. Nichols holds up the ball and keeps holding the ball. He sold Panetta a little short there, but Panetta does really well. Really, really well. It was a really ugly looking challenge, if you can call it that, from Mitchell Bird. Free kick to Gold Coast Knights. Nichols. Was Henvey offside? He was. We're in the hands of the referee. We'll still play on. This game is rather petering out, it has to be said. Crestani. Crestani has space, switches play brilliantly, as he's wont to do. Cross comes in towards Fox. Fox gets his head to it. It's awkward, but over the top, and Langdon will watch it just sail away to safety. I don't think there's much time left in this game. In fact, the referee has his whistle in his mouth. That will be all we have time for here today. Gold Coast Knights comfortable victors in the end over Peninsula Power, who were wasteful in the final third, and they were made to pay for that by 2 goals to Max Brown, and cherry on top of the cake for Jaden Walker, his first goal for Gold Coast Knights. Couple of scores from around the grounds for you. Gold Coast United have beaten Magpies Crusaders by 2 goals to 1. They continue their impressive start to the season, their second win of the season. Brisbane City trail and lost, to Eastern Suburbs in their first home game of the season by 4 goals to 2. The other match taking place tonight, Lions lead Capalaba by 2 goals to 0. That game taking place at the moment, and you'll be able to watch that, as you'll be able to watch every game from the National Premier League Queensland over the course of the season. In the Football Queensland Premier League, 2 results to give you. South United have beaten Holland Park Hawks by 3 goals to 2, and South West Queensland Thunder have thumped Western Pride by 5 goals to 0. The 2 relegated sides in the Football Queensland Premier League this year doing battle, and it's the Thunder who've come out on top. In the other game currently taking place, Mitchelton and Southside Eagles are locked at 1-1, 20 minutes or so remaining in that one. 2 games taking place tomorrow. Raw Youth take on Strikers at lunchtime, and that's followed by Moreton Bay United against Olympic up at Walter Park, and Sunshine Coast against Redlands United up in Kawana. These 2 teams, of course, back in action next week. Knights take on Moreton Bay United, a precursor to their FFA Cup Round 4 clash. And Peninsula Power are back down the coast, taking on Gold Coast United. We'll wrap things up here. A comfortable victory for Gold Coast Knights, who maintain their winning run. That's 10 wins on the bounce, 11 wins on the bounce in the National Premier League's Queensland, and they are perfect through 4 games here in the 2020 season. Peninsula Power, where Aaron Phillip will have plenty of work to do in that final attacking third, if today is anything to go by. Thank you very much for joining us here on this live stream. This has been a Double Take production for Football Queensland. I've been Simon Smale. It's been a pleasure to have you with me, and good evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend of football.